Yeah, I think we live. Knicks and Bruises, we back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black, it's time. I got my guy Ron in the building. What's good with you, Ron? How you feeling?
Always feeling good, man. A pleasure to be here chopping it up with you. My slogan, time it's black. You know what I mean? Oh, no, I don't got a slogan, but what's happening, y'all?
well, well, like I usually say, we've been through the Knicks and Bruises, but we still Knicks fans. You know what I
There
mean?
you go. There you go.
And if Ebro popping, we still die hard Knicks fans.
There you
Y'all know how
go.
it is. But nah, man, it's been a good week for sure. Um, getting ready for this next challenge, moving on, advancing in the in season tournament. Got a tough
Yeah.
opponent. News of the day. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but Randall Player of the Week. You know what I mean? Kudos to him.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
guys, a lot of guys been playing. A lot of guys had their best week this week on the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
No, so I don't know. I mean, let's start with we'll end with the Bucks. Let's first start with Julius Randle. Like I said, congratulations to him. Um, what was your thoughts? I mean, well deserved in my opinion.
Yeah,
Es-
yeah.
Especially coming from where it started in the season, it's
I think it's
a big jump.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful, bro. I'm happy for him. It's not something I'm really surprised at, but I'm happy nonetheless because he's been going through a lot of stuff so far to start the season with the way his play was coming off of how things were in the playoffs and then being hurt and then us. I mean, part of it is on him and the organization for not letting the fans know a little bit more about the severity of the injury and that he wasn't 100%. We were under the impression that he was 100%, but that wasn't the case. And it looked like it. So it's like we're not, naive. We could see what's going on out there. He didn't look like he was moving the way he normally moves. He wasn't getting that lift. So it's nice to see him like finally like be able to put weight on the ankle and do what he normally likes to do when he's out there. And yeah, man, this new Knicks style of offense where they're sharing the ball with each other and moving it definitely benefits Julius because Julius is not a selfish player. He's a willing passer. The only thing is, sometimes he gets a little emotional, but it's not necessarily emotion towards his teammates. It's his own emotion towards how he's playing. So yeah, I think this is great, man. I think this new style of offense um, fits him. I think there's variations of the offense, but he's so far so good with this style of offense. But we'll see what goes on from here. We still haven't seen the. I was going to tell you, we still haven't seen the best offensive game from
Julius,
Julius yet.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. And I was maybe that's what you meant. Because I was going to ask you, what do you mean when you say this style of offense? What do you think has changed that you say this style as compared to? Are you referring to what like last year or just like the Knicks in general? What do you mean when you say this style of offense?
Well, I had a really good conversation this past Saturday on Know the Ledge with I had a bunch of people that jumped on, and one of the people that jumped on the panel was Uncle Freezy, and when we were talking, like one of the things I noticed, right, and I'm not like a big X's and O's type of guy. I've never coached before. I played organized ball, but not too heavy. Maybe for about a year to 2 years. So there's a lot I still learn as I watch and I don't focus on this stuff, so I can't pinpoint it like some of you, everybody else may. But what I noticed is when R.J. Barrett came back from injury, the Knicks were moving different. Like when before he got hurt, not only was he hot, but there was a lot of spacing going on. Like he had a lot of lanes to work with. And when they gave him the ball, it seems like he just found all these gaps, but they were just open. It was like the Knicks had a different type of movement. Now, when he came back from this previous injury, I noticed that the lanes were clustered. Like he's just the Knicks are just too tight around. They're not opening things up, and therefore RJ's forcing shots. He's going into the lane against two people instead of one person, and then he's just looking not the way he looked before. So That's what I noticed. Now, what Freezy pointed out, he said that it's even more than what I noticed. Is more to this because if you look at the offense they were running early in the season, the way
Mhm.
where they were doing different pick and rolls and cuts and little curl movements, not too much, but what they were doing, it's not the same as what they're running now because in that style of offense, you got to see Grimes look a little better early right in the beginning of the season. Quickly had a little looked a little different in that early part of the season. So and I was wondering about it, and so I started to kind of look at some of the Nick games I had saved, and he's right. The offense has changed a little bit. It's still they're still moving the ball, but
Mhm.
the way in which they're doing things is slightly different. Now, he brought up that he thought that maybe it's because of Julius Randle. He wasn't fitting in that style of offense so much. So what they're running now fits him a little better. And so, it's like what benefits one may not benefit all. So I don't know. I mean, it
Let me
was
let me
interesting.
let me ask you this, and this is just I'm only basing this off of what I've seen, and then going off of what you just said.
Hmm.
Um, because I've noticed different is Randall being in the paint more
Hmm.
as opposed to living on the perimeter. He's
Right.
still shooting the threes, but he's playing within the 3-point line a lot more recently. I don't know if that's all year or if that's after, since RJ's come back or whatever. Like I don't know if there's a correlation there, but that would again in turn clog up the paint more for
Right.
RJ.
Right.
Which so do you think that could be
Yeah.
what is
No, I
one of
yeah.
the main differences?
Yeah, I think Tony, that you're right about that. I think that definitely is going to have something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe I should give me a second. Let me just bring this a little closer. My mic is so far away from me. There we go. So you hear me a little better. Anyway, yeah, I definitely think that has a lot to do with it. So I agree with you on that, and that obviously is going to clog up the paint and the lanes that RJ like because we always talk about Julius and RJ occupy the same space. We say that all the time. So I definitely think that has something to do with it. But I just think also the way the offense is moving, the way they look seems a little different from what they were doing to start the season. Now that may be just an evolution of the Knicks coming out in a certain style of play, trying to get up and down the court and move the ball around to each teammate, and then kind of seeing how it plays out, and then tweaking it a little bit to get it to this point. The other thing too is to your point about Julius being in the paint more. I think Julius just realizes like my shot's not really falling right now, and until I can get it going, I got to start scoring other ways. He's shooting around 27% from three. I mean, that's horrible. So I think he
It's up,
realizes that
it's
I
up from
can't live out there.
it's up from 15.
Right.
It's up
Right.
from 15. Oh
Yeah.
man, it was 15 at one point. 15,
Damn.
18. You said 27. I mean, he trending up, bro.
He's moving in the right direction.
Um, I mean, I'm happy for him. This is big. How much concern that you had early with Randall's play, if any, how much has been alleviated with his recent play? Um,
Mhm.
you can't say that first. I'll double down after.
Well, for me personally, I didn't have a lot of concern with regards to Julius. Like this is, it's not his first rodeo. It's not our first rodeo as Nick fans watching him. He goes through his little ruts, but we've seen him come out of it and get going. And I mean, look at how he's going. I mean, almost a triple double every game. Like he just, yeah. I was never worried too much about Julius. I knew that once he got his ankle straight, he was going to go. Because everything is confidence too. It's also about him knowing, okay, I can do I can pivot, I can move the way, once he starts feeling that, I knew he'd be fine. The outside shot worries me a little bit, but I'm okay with it because last year's Randall was like super Randall. It was his best season as a Nick and his best career season, actually, because he
Yep.
had a little combination of everything. His three ball, he was shooting around 33, 34%. So that elevated his scoring. So if this year is a down year with the three, we just won't see a 24, 25 point per game Julius. We'll see more like a 20, 21, maybe 22.
that's the thing though. I think he gets it back up to at least 33, 34%. Um, so I'm not even worried in that aspect. But I
Mhm,
love the fact that he's playing more inside
mhm.
because I think that's always been a strength of his. You know what I mean? The 3 point was an addition. You know what I
Right.
mean? Something that he worked on and improved that. But you can't just abandon your bread and butter. You know what I mean? You can't abandon the things that got you here, and he's been very effective at it these past 3 games, 5 games maybe. You know what I mean? So yeah, do you think he could get back to another All-Star game this year, All NBA season this year? And I say that for a couple of reasons, but go ahead and answer first, and then I'll give you my reasons like why I'm asking that.
Okay. Um, yeah, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think anything has really changed too much in the Eastern Conference. I don't think there's a lot of power forwards that play. I mean, that guys that play his position that are threats to kind of beat him out for a spot as long as he's playing up to par. So yeah, I think especially after him winning Player of the Week, I think he definitely is putting himself back in line to be considered for the All Star game. So yeah, I definitely think he could be back where he was. I think some of the Knicks benefit from if they play good enough, they got a nice little road to make it into the all-star into an all-star appearance. And I don't mean like there's not too many, but like Julius has it. RJ, if RJ was to play the way RJ was playing earlier for the rest of this first half, he would definitely make the all-star game because he's got a road. The only person that suffers to me is Jalen Brunson because there's just so much competition at his position, but he
He
still should make it. But anyway, go ahead. My bad, Tony.
It's like you reading my notes, man. You touched
My
on every single. I'm not gonna cut him off. I'm not gonna scratch that one up. I mean, you spot on. My next question was: do you think his path to All NBA and All Star is easier? I'll
Yeah,
say than a Brunson, considering the competition in the East. Um,
100%. Yeah.
Well, here's a one of the good things. Um, Brunson and Randall are the first Knicks to have Player of the Week in the same season since Brunson and Randall did it last year.
Wow. Wow.
But I say that
Um,
to say both of them got Player of the Week later in the year, later in the season. You know what I mean? Actually, let me see if I can find it. Last year, I think Brunson got it first, last year as well. So Julius got it in March, the week of March 6th. Where's Brunson? Brunson got it in January 16th.
hmm,
So this
hmm,
year, you know what I mean? We technically, I guess Randall would be the first week of December that they announced it. You know what I mean? So the last week of November, and Brunson got it in November 20th. So them getting this recognition and the accolades this early, maybe telling, you know what I mean? Maybe they both get in. You know what I mean? Especially if they could replicate it and get another one before All-Star game. Because these are the recognitions that really matter. Unless we come out as Knicks fans, which I'm working on a campaign for us to actually show some support. We the biggest fan base, the biggest market in in, in,
mhm.
in the world, and we can't never get our all stars voted in first team. I mean, you know what I mean, as starters, which I think is inexcusable. So I'm working on that when the time comes. Just the you know what I mean. My plea to Knicks fans, like, come on, let's get out there. You get up in the morning, you check your phone, make your vote. You know what I mean. Make it a routine. And let's get our guys represented. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
can
100%.
Give me 1 second, because I dropped something. So pardon me.
No, no, you good. And shout out to Jay Boogie. Appreciate you as always, my brother. Jay Boogie also has been campaigning and doing his thing to try to get us Knick fans to do what we got to do and vote our guys in. So salute to you as always, my guy.
Speaking of which, appreciate you, Jay Boogie, with the super chat. Says shout out to the chat. It's blessings, health, happiness. Oh, always motivational. Uh, he calls me the young Richard Pryor, sticking him again, hanging with the the Goldie Ron, aka the Mac. Thank you, TC. I appreciate the work. I appreciate the support, man. For real. No, 100%. And I gotta get you back on. You know what I mean? You know you always welcome. Um, and appreciate the chat as well. You know what I mean? Sticking with me. You know we was a little behind schedule, but we here. But
Mhm.
yeah, what do you agree? You think do you think, all right, let's go to Brunson. Do you think we could get two? We could get two all-stars, two all NBA. Obviously the path for Brunson is gonna be a little bit tougher. What do you think his odds are, chances are? I gotta give it up, you know what I mean, to Halliburton, who is really like he out here making a case for the best point guard in the league.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, that's not my perspective, but I've heard the conversation from
Mhm.
non-Pacer fans. You know what I mean? So if that's the conversation that's out there, you got to respect it when it's non-biased. You know what I mean? But what do
Yeah.
you think Brunson's chances are?
Um I, it's I will say that Halliburton's that guy, man. You know, as a Knick fan, I'm fighting for my guy Brunson, and I've been wanting to say that Brunson's better than Halliburton, but I honestly, I mean, I'm a basketball fan too. Halliburton is a bad dude, man. So you know, because every time I
Oh,
try to take something away from him, he shows me up. Like I've been wanting to say, yo, he can't score like Brunson, and he can't score the way Brunson scores, the style in which. But this man puts up. The other day, I was like, yo, Brunson got busy. Then I look at Halliburton, he had 40 something. I'm like,
40,
what the hell,
44. Yeah,
yo,
44. I
man.
did the same thing.
I'm like, yo, I can't take nothing away from this young man, bro.
I was like, we won though. We won though.
Facts. I'll be trying, man, but nah, Halliburton's the truth. So he's gonna get his spot, and he deserves his spot. I think Wally Zerbiak gonna have to eat crow a second. He might have to say something again this year. Just he ain't say nothing bad, but he might have to say something positive again. But um, I'm just looking to see who out there. I would have to do a deep dive to take a look at who made it last year to see who might be, you know, able to get up out of there. But if they all playing well, it's going to be tough for Brunson, even though he deserves it once again. It's just, you know, we got to
I
see.
think
Plus,
I think his
Dame's
best
in the
chance.
East now.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'll talk about. I'll say what I'm going to say about Dame in a second. But his best chance, which honestly, his best chance is either, like I'm saying, Knicks fans, show your support. You know what I mean? Show your love. Get out there and vote, and we vote him in. Or his best chance is actually Halliburton getting voted in. You know what I mean? Because if somehow it's a popularity contest, which it is most of the time, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Depending on the demographic, and who's in the East, who's in the West at a certain period of time. Um, if Halliburton starts, then I think Brunson has a better chance of being recognized by his peers and or the league. You know what I mean? The voters, the reporters, the journalists, and that is, I think, his best shot of getting in. Either us voting him in, um, whether deserving to be the starter or not, or Halliburton actually get. If he has to, like, if they got to choose between him and Halliburton as the reserve, is gonna be tough. But how many guards get in? And is it four? Is four guards four?
Well,
How they change the format? Is
it
it point guard,
depends.
shooting guard, bigs?
It depends. So let me tell you this. Last year, I'm looking at the 2022 Eastern Conference player pool. for the All-Star game. Uh, you had Trey Young, DeMar DeRozan. I'm not going to say the front court guys, just the guards. Trey Young, DeMar DeRozan, Zach Levine, James Harden, Darius Garland was a wild card. Fred Van Vliet was a wild card, and then LaMelo Ball was an injury replacement player. Um,
That was last year.
so
I think Brunson's
uh,
good then.
no, I was just gonna tell you. I think Hold on, my light went out. I think Brunson is good. I don't think we have to worry about him. He's I mean, because Harden is not around. He's not in the East. Zach Levine is not playing up to All-Star par.
And even if he was, the record usually, you know what I mean, the record positioning usually has some influence in the voting. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that could go with for LaMelo, that could go for Levine, that could go for quite a few guards. So yeah, I think Brunson might be almost a lock.
Yeah, I think he's good. He's good
Sharon's
money.
putting up LaMelo's numbers, great numbers, but are they winning?
Yeah, but even with LaMelo's numbers, um, you don't really got to worry about that because I already mentioned a couple other guys that
Have
Brunson's
gone.
playing better than Brunson's playing better than Zach Levine. James Harden's not in the East anymore. Um,
You put him
DeMar
over Trey Young.
DeRozan is he's playing better than DeMar DeRozan. Like there's a pathway for Jalen Brunson at the moment, I believe, unless there's some other guys that might have stepped up. Now Halliburton, gets thrown in that mix too because he wasn't. He was came in
He
as
wasn't. He wasn't there.
yeah.
Who started in the East last year?
It looks like it was Trey Young. Um,
I thought Trey Young got snubbed.
no, I thought he made it. I mean, I
I
could be
thought
wrong. I don't know.
I could have sworn, or was he? Maybe he was snubbed for All NBA. Maybe that's what he was
Maybe,
complaining about.
maybe
I
because
could
I'm
have
just
sworn
looking
he
at
did an
when this
interview with.
was because
Okay,
this was 10 days before the All-Star game, so I would think this was pretty current right before it
yeah.
happened.
Somebody in the chat, King Ribby says snub.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, man. I'm when you try to find stuff, I mean, it's just it's a pain, bro.
But yeah, what do you think about my take of? I mean, obviously we agree that the chances are high, the probability is high, but them both having these All NBA Eastern Conference Player of the Week so early in the season. I mean, is it I mean, to me, it's kind of astounding considering, especially with Randall, where he started in the season, um, what the temperature was like when talking about him, whether it was mainstream or otherwise. Brunson's been pretty solid out the gate. Who do you think?
Um,
Who do you think is? Who do you think has a better chance of having another one? Player of the week.
another player of the week from the Knicks, you mean?
Yes, and
Yeah.
and if you want to name someone other than those two guys, you can, but still on the Knicks.
Um, Honestly, player of the week is not is it's tough. It's tough to get because the team has to usually win, and you got to be like have a really good week, and usually those go to the focal points, the guys who get the most usage. So I would say really it's only going to come down to Brunson and Randall. I think we haven't seen the best offensive performance from Randall yet, so I think you might be able to see another player of the week from Randall, and I definitely think you're gonna see another player of the week from Brunson. So I think that I'm like almost a shoe in that you're gonna see one more
One
from
more
each of
from
those
both,
two
at
guys.
least.
Yeah.
That is super encouraging. I'm looking at the list right now. The only other team that has two players of the week so far is Philadelphia. Tyrese
Mm.
Maxey won week one, and Joel Embiid in early November. And I think I have a lot of last year's here. I'm gonna see if I could like skim through it and see how many teams,
Mhm.
because I'm pretty sure the number is not high.
Right. Oh, you know what? I think that's what I hate this sometimes. I think that's what's throwing me off. I was looking at the 2022, right?
Okay,
And remember, the All-Star game actually took place
in
in
2022.
2023.
Yeah,
I
that's
get thrown off by that, man. You know what I mean? So hold on.
so
Uh
I'm gonna run through these names. If you don't got to keep an accurate count, but let's just try to see how many teams had multiple players with the player of the week. So we got Tatum. We have Tatum, Dame. Then you got Giannis, Shea. Then you got Kevin Durant, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Steph, Halliburton, Fox, Giannis again, DeAndre Ayton. Uh,
hmm,
then you got Durant again, Anthony Davis. I didn't say LeBron yet, right? So
mm-mm.
that's his first. That's the Lakers first. Joel Embiid, Zion, Donovan Mitchell, Jokic, Siakam, Doncic, Kristaps, Doncic, Mitchell, and LeBron James. So that's the Lakers. Did I say? I didn't say Darius Garland, right?
I didn't hear you say Darius. So
So this week is Donovan Mitchell, LeBron. So that's the Lakers twice now, right?
mhm.
Jalen Brunson, Sabonis, Holiday, LeBron. So that's the Bucks twice.
And the
Giannis
Lakers 3 times.
and the Lakers three times. Giannis, Dame. Oh shoot, Giannis, Dame, Derek White, Shea, Embiid, Sabonis, Randall, and for some reason I can't see who got it with Randall. So right there, that's only three teams that did it all year last year.
Mhm.
Have two players on the same team that have a conference player of the week. I mean, that's something to really be excited about in my opinion. Um
Yeah.
Also last week, I mean, you had Josh Hart come out with his little comments that I'm glad us content creators didn't jump out the window and make, I don't even think anybody really had a whole show like on it, you know what I mean, or whether it came up or not, it was brief. um but yeah, and then came back and had his best week of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He impacted the game like the first game right after that. Boom. And then what was it last game? 15 no, 2 games ago. 15 in the third, 15 straight
Mhm.
points for the Knicks in the third quarter. Ended with 17, but again, impacted the game. Dante DiVincenzo's, I think he's had his best week as a Knick this year. This past week. Uh so yeah, and Mitchell Robinson. I mean, what can I say about Mitch, man? I,
Yeah, man.
I,
Ugh.
I had
Wow.
a stat on Mitch. He's third right now in defensive rating behind, as like individual defensive rating, behind Gobert, Carl Anthony Towns. Maybe that's just the center position. I don't know.
Well,
But 105.1, third lowest.
hmm.
I know he's leading us in blocks. I mean, I'm sorry, obviously in blocks, but in steals. But he's in the league rankings in steals at the center
Yeah.
position.
Yep. Yep.
Defensive
It's
player of the year, all defensive team. I mean, I'll take baby steps. I'll take the team. You know what I mean? I'll take the recognition. Third team, second team.
yeah. I'm cool with that too. I don't think that I don't know if he's going to get too many defensive player of the year votes because there's a lot going on around the league that I'm not necessarily paying attention to, guys who are playing defense. I know Jaren Jackson Jr. is still a very good defender, but his numbers don't look the same that as the way they were last year. So he's not going to run away with this award, early. Who knows what's going to happen by the time the year is over? But there could be guys on other teams that like Jaden McDaniels and stuff like that are really doing well on defense that I'm not necessarily paying attention to. So I
A
don't
lot.
know how that.
He's on the Timberwolves, right?
Yeah,
So here's the thing, and this is, I mean, it fits exactly what you just said, because a lot of the times, I feel like, again, team success dictates it, right? And they're
right.
number one in the league, but I
Yes,
think they're
they
the
are.
number one defensive team in the league.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
so if you like, if there's a that will give him the edge. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even and deservingly so. Because what I was going to say before you mentioned McDaniels was, if we as a team could get ourselves in that top two
Hmm.
defensively, you know what I mean? Even if we're still behind Minnesota, but if we're right behind them, the metrics may look at it differently, and start looking at the individual impact per player. You
Right,
know what I mean? And they may
right,
also, and then it may go against you if you have a better defensive supporting cast around you, because your
hmm
Mitchell Robinson's individual defensive impact, I think, is more irreplaceable than a McDaniels. And this is not taking anything away from him, but they got Gobert back there. You know what I mean? They
right.
have other guys that could kind of fill the void. And then the other part would be missed games or games played. You know what I mean? And I think McDaniels has missed a couple games, unless that's his brother. I like them both, but I get them confused sometimes. But I know one of them.
No,
I know one of them has missed quite a few games this year.
right, right. And the other thing too is if the Knicks were to be able to get themselves in that type of position, then you start to kind of look a little closer at what each defender is doing and what they're doing from their position. Because if Mitch is among the steals leaders from the center position, that benefits him too if the Knicks are in that position. Because you start to say, well, if Jaden McDaniels gets these steals, but Mitch is getting these steals from the center, like that might go a long way towards them looking at him a little differently, more favorable as well.
Absolutely. Um,
So I just wanted to say real quick. So I was able to pull up the right thing now that I know I'm in the right year. And even with this, now it's a little different because even though they vote for the East and the West in a certain way, when they do the player pool thing, it's like they put everybody together and then the team captains start picking their players. So it's a little different to kind of understand exactly who was available. But for the West player pool, no, I can't even do it this way because there's East
yeah,
and West
Eastern,
teams
yeah.
on. Yeah. So let's just say, let's go by guards.
Yep.
For the guards for this past year's All-Star game was Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving,
West Coast.
Donovan Mitchell,
Okay.
DeMar DeRozan,
Okay.
and I guess Jalen Brown. Does he classify as a guard or is he a forward?
I think they used whatever they used them as was to get them in. So
Mm-hmm.
it probably was guard the last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I don't mean
Right.
that as a like a shot,
Right.
but it's like, yo, we
Right.
gotta
Right.
get him
Right.
in. Could put him in either one.
And then the other guys was Paul George, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Halliburton. We know he got in as a reserve. So did Julius. But um, Drew Holiday. I don't think Drew Holiday is going to be an all-star. So that's one spot. Uh, Ja Morant. I don't think Ja Morant's going to have enough time to be an
Well,
all-star.
well,
But you never know.
he's on the
You
West
never
anyway.
know.
He's on the
Yeah.
West anyway, and I think they're going back to East West now.
Oh, damn it. How
Yeah,
do you? I didn't hear this, man.
yeah.
Okay.
This year they're going back to East West.
Okay, cool.
So,
And
so
then
I already counted. You only named two East Coast guards so far.
and
Halliburton and, oh well, three if you count Holiday.
right. And then I'm giving you one more, Damian Lillard.
I think he
So
could do it. I think he could do it.
I think Drew is not someone you got to worry about. I think Dame, even though Dame is Dame, right now Brunson's playing better than Dame right now at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't
And
know.
I mean, you own the only way we would have to worry about it for me is the record, right? Like Drew may get in if the Celtics are number one seed in the East. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
could see them doing that. It's been done before where it was, you know what I mean, a little it wasn't a sure shot, but hey, they the number one team, give them three. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes I
Right.
mean the Pistons back in the day, they gave them four. You know what I mean? The championship Piston team. They gave them four. So they do that sometimes. The only thing is Milwaukee, I think they would only do it with one team. So
Right.
if it is Boston number one, like then maybe Drew gets in. If it is Milwaukee, somehow they climb back up to number one, then maybe they give it to Dame. You know what I mean? So I could see
Right.
that.
Right. And damn it, Sherwin. See, now when we kind of have a better idea, that he does make a good
Oh,
point. There,
oh, Maxi. I see it. I
Tyrese
see it.
Maxey is
Throw it up
getting in.
there.
Tyrese Maxey's getting in, so that's a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
But and also he said Trey Young. Trey Young was snubbed last year, so
Last year he was, but
Trey Young
so
might
was
get
Jalen
in.
Brunson. So was
Yeah,
Brunson.
so
And
I don't know.
if it's a if it's a makeup thing, I think Brunson was a bigger snub last year than Trey Young last year.
It's tough because you know what? Even though Brunson played well, he took off in the second half. Like he went
That's true.
crazy in
That's
that
true.
second half.
That's
So
true. That's
maybe
true.
maybe
That's true. That's
Trey
true.
got the little up
Almost
on him.
almost like the snub got to him. You
Right?
absolutely
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
absolutely right. I remember because that was a talking point for a good 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yo, he using it as
Yeah.
motivation.
So yeah, Sherwin said Trey's averaging 27 and 11. Yeah,
Oof.
Trey might get in. So yeah, well, I mean, we got to see. It's going to be interesting. I know you mentioned Darius Garland too, Sherwin. I don't think Darius is. I mean, I looked at his numbers. He's averaging
As
19.
as
Yeah,
at some
I
point
don't know.
the I mean if the Knicks obviously keep winning, at some point I think the record has to come into play. Yes, the
You would think
standing.
that has, but here's the problem with the starters. There's some of these guys have built up so much love amongst fan
Yeah,
bases
fan
that they
revenue. Yeah,
get in. Yeah, I remember there was one year there was a guy who got voted in who wasn't even playing no more. I'm like, this is
yeah, yeah.
ridiculous.
Y'all got voted in with and didn't even play that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean it happens. It happens. The well again, this is why us as Knicks fans and
Mhm.
content creators, we
Right.
need to talk to our chats, you know what I mean, and employ them to go out there and let's get our guys
We gotta vote.
represented.
We gotta
Represented.
vote.
Um, especially if they playing and doing the things that we've been seeing as of late. Um, I mentioned some guys who I feel like had their best week
Mhm.
this week. I'm gonna probably get into it in detail a little bit as much as I can on Queen's Court. She does a full like week review.
Mhm.
But anybody stand out to you other than Randall? Obviously, he got the award, which was hilarious because I really was planning to come out here today and talk about how multiple guys had their best week as Knicks
Mhm.
this week. And then here he goes winning an award. But anybody else stand out as far as like I mean, do you agree multiple Knicks had their best week
Yeah. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
Knicks
Yeah. Yeah.
this week?
Yeah.
At
I,
least for this year I'm referring to.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
DiVincenzo, obviously this is first year, but
Yeah, I would say there was a bunch of guys as far as playing with the Knicks so far this year that played really well this past week. Um, I think you always throw Mitch in there. Maybe Mitch's numbers were even better the week prior. So I mean, but he's been playing really good basketball, really solid basketball overall. But yeah, Dante had a great week and Josh Hart stepped up and played really well for the Knicks, which I like that too because he's also been catching a lot of flack. It's been the hesitancy to shoot the shot, and the fact that we paid him 80 million, like, come on, man. So I'm really happy to see that. Plus the comments, as you mentioned. So it's really good to see him like kind of, put his game where his mouth is, because Josh is not scared to talk. So yeah. So that's definitely good. Outside of those guys, was there anybody else this week? Because I think even Quickly had a solid
Yeah,
week, but I think it was the week
yeah,
prior that
hmm yeah.
yeah.
Quickly. I mean, you could argue quickly had a down week. I mean,
Right,
this week.
right.
You could argue RJ had a down week this week.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, excuse me. Brunson's been. I don't want to say this was his best week. Obviously, he won a player of the week award. So, but I wouldn't say it was a down week for him. But only two guys. It's three guys that had down weeks. RJ, obviously, Quickly and Grimes. We're gonna talk about Grimes in a second. Um, I wanted to get a lot of positivity out. You know what I mean? Before
Yeah,
and
yeah.
again, I'm not here to bash Grimes, but we some
Mhm,
things we definitely gotta talk about. Um
mhm,
Mitchell Robinson, just a quick another stat. 60% of his rebounds are contested. So 60% of his rebound, he's taking it from somebody. You know what I
mhm.
mean? And 6.5 of his rebounds. I think he's at 10, maybe 11, but 6.5 of them are, you know, contested. So that's how many and the percentage. Um
Wow.
I'm liking that. I know Queen. I can't wait to let Queen know, because I know she gonna like that. Because you know what I mean. Now he's taking them. You know what I mean. Now he's
Mhm.
going to get them. Now it doesn't even matter sometimes if he's being boxed out, because a lot of times that was the thing. Put two on Mitch. Make somebody else get the rebound.
Right.
He's taking them. So that was my last stat on Mitch. Um, let's talk about Grimes, and then we'll talk about this plan and get out of here.
Sounds
Uh,
good.
where do I start with Grimes?
Mm,
Shout
mm.
out to Tommy Bear. That's where I got this stat from. But and there was another one that I can't find, and I don't know if he deleted it. I don't know if it was inaccurate or what. But Grimes, he hasn't played a single minute in the fourth quarter last 5 games.
Wow. I mean, I mean, I kinda noticed he wasn't out there too much, but I didn't know that. Wow. Damn. Hmm. That's saying
And
a lot.
it's saying a lot, because that's not a coincidence. That's not an accident. It's not by a happenstance. You know what I mean? If it's if it's 5 games in a row and Tibbs is our coach,
Mhm,
you gotta think there's something behind that.
mhm.
So I'm mad I don't have the numbers in front of me, but as bad as Grimes is shooting, his fourth quarter numbers are even worse,
Sheesh.
which tells me that Tibbs is aware of that.
Sounds like it. Damn. That's tough. I feel bad
Um,
for the young Grimes.
I mean, at this point, I mean, I know we've had discussions about the start. Should he start? Should somebody else start? Like I'm off that right now. You know what I mean? Because I mean, at that point, that's when, like you, I would start to like put feelings into it. Like right now, he still got his starting job. He still has Tips hasn't lost total faith in him. You know what I mean? Like we know how that goes too. When when you out, you out. You know what I mean? So he still got a foot in the door, and that's good. But maybe this is why you said if you feel bad. My question is, do you think this is a All right, first the news shock you. What are your thoughts on that? You know what I mean? Now that you kind of soaked it
Yeah,
up
no,
a little
I
bit.
mean, I was kind of surprised, taken aback by it because even though I knew he wasn't playing as much, especially down the stretch in games, I didn't think he wasn't playing at all in the fourth quarters. Like I didn't realize that. I didn't see that because to me, what it says to me is that Tibbs is just kind of moving away from him at the moment. Not saying that he because he still has a starting job. So it's not like you said, Tibbs hasn't given up on him, but Tibbs is also like, I'm just gonna do what I need to do at the time that I need to do it to try to win games. So it's not it's but it's bad because you're like, Grimes is supposed to be, if not one of the best defenders. He's technically supposed to be our best defender outside of Mitch, because Mitch is he's always had that ability to be our best defender. But Grimes is supposed to be our best perimeter defender. Let's say it like that, from the guard position, stuff like that. And so here's the weird thing about Grimes, and this is where it goes back and forth with Knicks fans. Grimes is still playing good defense. And I know that, and I know when people in the chat on my shows or whatever, other shows, they're like, "Yo, but Grimes is playing good defense. Did you see how I see it?" What I'm saying when I look at Grimes is the difference is his confidence is at it's an all-time low right now, in my opinion. So
Mhm.
it's affecting him offensively. His mechanics look poor when he's shooting. He's still, not lining up properly and not getting his feet set. He's not getting a lot of opportunities because the defense is collapsing on him. It's almost like the defense has the blueprint on Grimes.
Mm.
Just show at him, and he's not going to take the shot. He's going to pass the ball because he's not
Yeah,
aggressive.
and
All right.
and and
So
he's gonna pick up his dribble most of the time. He
right.
has attacked the rim a lot more, but it hasn't been. He's went to the rim a lot more. He hasn't really. I mean, he did try to yam it on somebody. What was that last game?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that was Grimes. I
Which
caught it.
yeah, I think he was him. And
So
then
we'll see.
RJ missed the dunk too, but whatever.
We'll see. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm asking for from him. No
Right.
hesitation. Attack the rim. I don't care if you miss a dunk. I don't care if it get blocked. You know what I mean? Put pressure on the defenders and the referees.
Yeah. But
Um,
but I wanted to say the one thing that I do notice, even though Grimes has been playing good defense, and of course he's gotten cooked because this is the NBA. You're an NBA player. It's easy to score offense. It's harder to play defense. Like you're going to get cooked. Some of these guys you're going to get cooked. But this is where I say that you can see the difference. Where is the defensive winning plays that Grimes has made? Like in the playoffs, even when he had a poor offensive showing in the playoffs, people were like, "Yo, but that steal that Grimes got, you saw how big that was. That play that he did was unbelievable." Like,
I'll tell
where's
you.
that?
I'll tell you one thing, and because I was shocked when I read this, when I read it too. You know what I mean? But then immediately it made sense for the simple fact the fourth quarter is starting with the second unit anyway. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, well, yeah, he has been closing with either DiVincenzo, either IQ,
Mhm.
or you know what I mean, or Josh Hart. So you know what I mean? Like I didn't even like really question it. It and that's where, to your point, where those defensive stops, those big defensive stops happening, most of the time they were happening in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And
Oh, that's a good point.
if he's
Yeah.
not playing in the fourth, like, so now any stop he gets 1 through 3, it might be a big in that moment, but it's not gonna be big enough to remember at the end of the game. You know what I mean? When we having our podcast, when we talking, like it's not gonna, unless it was, unless it's like something that ended a run or started a run, it's not gonna feel like oh, that was the big play of the game.
But even to your point, just if him not be like the biggest time in the game, especially is the fourth quarter. So if he's not out there to even be in a position to do something or to get that feeling that a player gets when you're in that crunch time, like
Mhm.
every basket matters and the defense has to step up, then it's going to be harder for him to produce that level of play when you're not out there in the heat
And to
of the
the
battle.
Knicks,
You know what I mean?
and to the Knicks credit, the play, we've had the plays. They've been from quickly. They've been from Brunson. They've been from
Yeah,
Hart.
yeah,
They've been from the guys who have played down the stretch, which
right.
which that isn't even set. You know what I mean? Kudos to Tibbs because he's playing guys who are hot. He's playing like if a guy doesn't have it at night, he's finding the next guy or giving the next guy the opportunity to you know what I mean? Like because it's not just quickly closing. You know what I mean? It might be quickly.
Mhm,
It might be DiVincenzo. It depends on who's
mhm,
hot that night.
mhm,
It might be Hart. You know what I mean? Or it might depend on who's out with injury that night. But I mean, winning cures all. But it's hard not to give Tibbs his props for his rotation this year so far. But yeah, Grimes. I'm still pulling for him. I know I might have been one of the early ones talking about uh,
mhm.
switching the starting unit. It's not an end all be all for me. You know what I mean? So and obviously I want all my Knicks. If everybody's playing to their maximum potential, I'd rather have that issue than one guy not. But I do think this is something to look out for. The fact that he hasn't played those last 5 games in the fourth quarter, and the fact that his fourth quarter numbers are even worse than like for the season. His fourth quarter numbers are even worse than his numbers this year. Um, I hope he pulls it together. Um, actually, this kind of correlates because I was gonna do a show just checking the Bucks fans temperature,
Mhm.
and it wasn't enough out there. You know what I mean to gather enough comments to kind of put together a whole show based off of it. But I did get one comment that I found very interesting, especially considering how some Knicks fans are turning on Grimes. Some are down on him currently. You know what I mean? Some are still push whatever. But here's the quote. It's from a guy named Sean, not Sean P Diddy, but Sean. Um, gotta make that clear. It's not that Sean. Uh, Instead of going for Caruso, because I guess that is the talk that people are the fans are discussing. They want Caruso, or maybe there's something in the rumor mill. But instead of going for Caruso, we can grab Bones or Grimes, get younger, and not give up more. And I mean, it's the only thing that obviously he mentioned Grimes, and it just made me, um, and there was a lot of comments behind it. So that was something somebody posted. There's about 5 to 8 comments in there, and about 4 of them were in agreement specifically about Grimes. Which was just I just wanted to let the Knicks world know that other fan bases aren't low on Grimes. You know what I mean? Actually, still see the value, see what they could potentially bring to to their organization. I'm laughing at Josh. Shout out to Josh.
Yeah, I know. I seen it.
He said, "Stop, finish." This is not me asking. I'm just showing. I'm showing that they are interested in him and they think he would be cheap. This is not me saying move him there. I don't even know what I would want from them in general. I'm saying their fan base are interested. So even though his value to some Knicks fans is dropping, outside fan bases are still interested in who Grimes could be for them. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Pay
Yep.
attention to that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If other fan base, usually other fan bases aren't very high on Nick players, and for him to
Right.
be playing the way he is I mean, probably his worst, and other fan bases to be interested should tell us something.
Yeah, because you
Um,
know what? I think it's because they've seen enough potential from Grimes already to say there's something there, and they know that Grimes is in a starting lineup with Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, and Jalen Brunson. It's very hard to eat in that lineup. Um, And maybe they're looking at the other, different things that organizations look at as far as what the sets are, how the offense is run. Does he get a lot of opportunities? The good thing for that actually helps Grimes too is he's averaging between 4 and 6 shots a game, which is very low. If he was
Mhm.
getting around 9 and 10 shots and just not knocking them down, then the team can be like, yo, I mean, this guy's getting the opportunities. He's just not making them.
It's
Then
a
you could
good
look
point.
at him a little differently, but he's not
It's a
even
great point.
getting the volume. So they're like, oh, well, maybe there's still something there. And I honestly think that if Grimes leaves the Knicks situation, he's going to start to play a lot better. He's going to get more confident. He's going to be, I would assume, wherever he goes is a place where he gets more opportunity. So I think that, that it's just unfortunate. Sometimes you're going to deal with this. A good team is going to run into a problem when they've got players that are not playing up to par in that team, or they're not, used properly, or even feel as comfortable as they would somewhere else. And then you ship them off, a la Obi, whatever, and they start to play better because they're in a different situation. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Yes, Josh, like Obi. I know. Yes.
um, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. I didn't feel like making it a whole thing to put up on the screen for
Yeah.
one comment. So but yeah, I thought it was interesting that and I would have preferred. I haven't figured out how to put the comment and the whole list of everybody's responses and make it
Uh,
look nice. So
right,
that's
right, right. I
like
got
if
you.
I could have got all the people agreeing with him, then I thought it would have been more valuable. But I figured let me share. Moving on and then getting out of here. I know we got Queen's Court at 8:30, so give a little break in between. Um, the Bucks, we got the Bucks coming up. They are playing a lot better, but I don't think they have reached their full potential, or what their fan base or just the NBA fan base has projected or thought they would be at. So I mean, this is another opportunity. We played them twice. We played them close twice. Um, at least the final box score. I don't remember if one of them that scored it and actually, you know, dictate what the game was, but I know that first one was a close one for sure, and we had it. Like we could have took that one. Um, I think we have good chances. The odds came out for the rest of the tournament for the remaining teams. We have the worst odds, or the highest uh return, however you look at it, whether you gamble or not. Um, but they don't think we're gonna make any noise. I think we can. I think this is
Mhm,
an opportunity. Um, I mean, we're playing our best basketball. mm, I'll say we're playing our best basketball collectively
mhm.
without, because obviously, we named a couple guys who have had down weeks, but collectively as a team, I think we're playing our best. And this is off of a week where the competition was a little weak. It got a little tougher, and we still showed up.
Right.
And the tough teams all year we've showed up. So this is the one that I think we could do it. We could squeeze it out.
I mean, listen, uh, I've said it already multiple times. I think we can all kind of attest to it. We have not seen the Knicks play their best basketball as a team yet, right? We don't know what's going to trigger it. We don't know how it's going to happen. But just watching the Knicks for the past few years, they got that in them. And they got enough good players on this team that play sound basketball that they're going to have some games where they put it all together. It's a foregone conclusion in my mind. Just like we talked about Randall and how I wasn't concerned that he would get back to this point. It's the same thing with the Knicks. At some point, the Knicks are going to play some really good basketball from top to bottom. Maybe this little in-season thing, maybe this wild card game with Milwaukee starts it off, and they go into this in-season tournament and run crazy, because there's no team in this in-season tournament that I think the Knicks can't beat, right? they have a tough road because their first game is against Milwaukee, and most likely their second game would be. I mean, I don't know if that's how it works, but I think their second game would be
Yeah,
against
it would be
Boston if Boston beats
Boston or
Indiana.
Indiana. So either one
Right.
is not a gimme. We haven't played Indiana yet, right? Or have
No,
we? No, we have
no, I
not.
don't.
Yeah,
No, we
yeah,
haven't.
that would have been a content
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Circle that on your
tornado.
calendar. Yeah,
That would have been a content tornado. Everybody, oh, OB, yeah. All right, I'm calm down. So
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
either one is not a cakewalk. You know what I mean? Either one could be uh just as challenging because I feel like
Yeah.
Austin, we kind of match up better. You know what I mean? Like, um, I don't know. I'm not worried. I don't think we particularly match up well with Indiana. Like it's like a style of fights type things, and I guess whoever wins is probably going to be ugly for the other team. So if
Hmm.
we end up beating Indiana regular season, playing whatever, I mean in season, I gotta stop doing that because I'm a big a big component of speaking things that in season, regular season, playoffs. I think they're a tougher matchup. I think we're a better team. I just think they're a tougher matchup. The way they play, they could run us out the building, but if we could figure out how to slow their offenses down, you know what I mean? I mean, it could be real ugly for them. Oh,
Right, right, and just wanted to shout out Knicks 100. Yeah, with the exception of Denver. Denver is they're scary. They're a tough team.
yeah, we're gonna we're gonna
Knicks will
need
have to worry about Denver.
we're gonna need reinforcements at the tail end of the season if it looked like we could we could get to the finals.
Yeah, it's a tough road. I mean, really, I honestly, I don't even care. I mean, that sounds bad. I don't care if the Knicks win the whole in-season tournament. I just want them to be able to be in it. I want them to be able to get to Vegas and win a
And
couple games. Like I think that's good experience for these guys.
but the good thing is we can tell they care.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, which is great.
Like that's the great thing. Like we could tell they care. So the fact that they care, it makes me care a lot more. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like if the Knicks were the 2 seed right now or the 1 seed right now, but their attitude on the tournament was we don't really care. We concentrating on the year, the playoffs, you know what I mean? Then that would be my attitude too. But the fact
Right.
that they actually, you know what I mean? The fact that they actually care and they like, yeah, we want to get to Vegas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to win this thing. I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Hear you. That's why I want them to. I want it's a tough, but I think they could beat Milwaukee, and I want them to be able to go to Vegas. So, because once you go to Vegas, anything can happen. But at least, like, it's a nice feeling knowing that if you get past each round, that's more money in some of these guys' pockets that don't really get to see a lot of this money. So that to me, I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So I was trying to get a Milwaukee Bucks podcaster on here today, like for this show.
Mm,
Times, schedules, whatever. Didn't work out. But I've been watching this particular podcast for a couple of days, like watching some of the back
hmm.
catalog, you know what I mean, and some of the recent ones. And I don't know if it's just this gentleman or if this is like the they're not happy, they're not satisfied. You know what I mean? Like there's some that are confident and you know what I mean. They know they won a chip before. They know they got Giannis. You know what I mean? They're not panicking, and there's others that I won't say are panicking, but they're not content. They and a lot of it, and this is something I brought up in the preseason or before the season when we was talking about who are the top teams. But a lot of what he speaks on is the coach and the first time coach and some of the mistakes that he feels he's he's creating as a coach.
Mm,
Um I think there was a quote I didn't hear it, but it sounded like he was referencing the coach saying something about um these things take time, and basically referencing that it may not be a finished product or this year.
Hmm.
And this podcaster, he lost it, man. He's like, Dame is 35 years. I don't know how old he is. 33 years old. You know what I mean? You want him to wait another year? This, and that. Um, I just find it funny just listening to other fan bases, especially like as a Knicks fan, you'd be like Milwaukee. I just won a chip 2 years ago. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you
Like
know what I
you
mean.
that don't give like no breathing room, no. I mean, but he is upset. Like he feels like they shouldn't have got rid of Bud. You know what I mean? They got a rookie coach. They brought Damon, raised the expectation, and gave it to a guy with no experience. But so I understand where he's coming from in that aspect. But I said all that to say, how much do you think that has affected their season so far? Could affect this particular game. Granted, they beat us twice already. Um, and do you think the rookie head coach has impacted them, or do you think it's just figuring out how to acclimate Dame and Dame and Giannis? And you may have spoke
Um,
on this with the NBA report. So I mean, my
yeah,
bad,
no, I
the
mean,
NBA
no, no,
rapper.
no. Hey, no, I mean, um, no, I think it's I think it's a combination of both those things. I think um losing Drew Holiday is huge for that team. Like, he helps their defensive culture. He not only is an incredible defender, but when you got a really good defender out there, other players that may not be as good defensively gravitate towards that person. They take on the mindset of that player when they're out there, and not having him to be able to do what he does, and then not having him to set the mindset for other guys to step up and kind of follow his example is huge. Because we know Dame comes in, and Dame is incredible. He's a sniper, but that defense is not his strong suit. And so you got that going on. You got an aging team. Giannis doesn't. It's crazy to say, but a player who's that dominant just doesn't look as dominant as he has in times past. But that doesn't mean he's not dominant. It's just it's a little different. You know what I mean?
Are you saying next to Dame he doesn't?
I just don't. Maybe that's why, because Dame is
I
there.
because I think
He
that is one hundred
Yeah, yeah,
percent
yeah.
why.
No, I think that's what it is, like I said, but, before, like, it's the combination of that too, like, them figuring out how to, maneuver Dame and Giannis and work off of each other. Some people thought it was gonna be a match made in heaven because you got the inside scorer, you got the outside scorer, and they can just play off of each other, but it's a little bit more than that, like,
You know why?
it's
Sometimes he has to. Now he has to defer.
Mhm,
Before he only had to make the right read, or the read he wanted to make. Now,
mhm,
psychologically, he knows who that guy is over there. You know what I mean? And what he's capable of. So like now there's a instead of just turning it on,
mhm,
now you got to know when to turn it on.
right,
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
instead of just turning it on for, now you got to know. All right, let me put it on medium and let him ride out, and
Mhm,
not lose what it is that you know what I mean? Like it's hard to turn. It's hard for certain people to even turn it off. You know what I mean? That's why I didn't say turn it off. But you know what I mean? Like Giannis is an energy guy. He's 100 miles at a time. So I think that's part of it. Just having to defer as opposed to deferring when I want,
right,
deferring off the reads.
right. I agree with that, and, like, even like, if you look at Damian Lillard's numbers, he's averaging 25 points per game and 7 assists and damn, 4.5 rebounds. So it's not like his numbers are bad. His efficiency is not as high or what you would expect from him. He's shooting 33% from 3. So you can see, like, he's not getting the points as easy as he did last year. Was unheard of. Like, he had an incredible, for those amount of 40 games or whatever hell he played, he was lights out. It was incredible. Um And so even shooting from the field, he's at 42%, 43%. So I just think that he's still it's a lot. You know what I mean? Like he's coming from Portland. He's only known one place. He's been there forever. And to come to Milwaukee, it's a change. And so it's still finding that comfort zone and just really locking in. I think they'll get it. They'll get it together. Right now, it just doesn't look that great. I mean, but I always point to it, and I hate to be a broken record. I know everybody who's watched me speak about it. I always go back to that Miami Heat team because that Miami Heat team did not look good that first month or so of the season. They looked really like questionable. And then after that time, they took off. So I think the Milwaukee Bucks got a little bit more issues there on the defensive side of the ball. And I think they still have to find that mix of when one person takes over and the other one defers, like you said, Tony. They haven't quite got that. But I just think that really, I know the Bucks beat us twice, but in my mind, I feel like the Bucks beat us once and we beat ourselves the other game because when we were down 1 point and that with 48 seconds left and Julius didn't run up the court and they got that free opportunity, I'm like, come on,
That was
man.
off a free throw. That was off the Mitchell Robinson free throw. Is that game? What game you referring to? I mean, no. What
That
play are
was
you referring to?
do you remember the play where it was 50 something seconds? The Knicks brought the ball down. Brunson went into the lane and he shot that poor shot in the lane. And Julius looked at him. He put his hands up like
Yeah,
it was a bad shot to take. But
yeah,
instead of Julius hustling back,
yeah,
he was
yep, yep.
acting like the game
His
was
yeah,
over.
his
And it was
yeah, yeah,
48 seconds left, and we were down one, and he's
yeah,
just letting the defender run up the court.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
do
that was a
remember.
bad moment for us, man.
I do remember.
That was a bad moment. So
He
yeah, I
called.
just think that we're okay. We're all right. I think we got a good shot.
I agree. My last thing on the Bucks, and I'll let you plug whatever you want to plug, and we can get out of here. Um, one of the guys in their chat was adamant about um going after Marcus Smart. Come whenever he could be traded again. Um, and moving on from Middleton, and I guess he said whatever the cost is. Um, what do you think? What do you think that would do for that team? You do you think Smart and Dame pairing works? And would you include Middleton? I know he's having a bad year and is aging, but as an NBA wrap up guy, you know what I mean. What would you think of that?
Yeah, no, I think that would be fantastic for Milwaukee. I think that would be a no-brainer move because the thing about Marcus Smart, he don't care about scoring. He scores if he scores, and sometimes he gets busy, but he goes with the flow of the team. As long as the team is winning and he plays his role and he's out there with the guys, he's cool. So and I think having adding Marcus Smart to that backcourt, however you want to do it. Uh, Dame Lillard is free. Like, oh, I don't got to worry about playing the best defense on whoever their guy is. I can just do what I got to do. Dame Lillard can go crazy. So I think that's a benefit. I also think that right now, I mean, listen, Chris Middleton is just not the same player, and to me, this Bucks teams, the way they're positioning themselves right now, they need a lot from Chris Middleton. He's just not
Mhm.
providing it. So if you can move on from him and bring in like a defensive anchor type, former defensive player of the year and Marcus Smart, I think you got to do that because not only does he bring in that better defense that you just lost when you let go of Drew Holiday, um, you basically allow Dame to free roam and be Dame and not have to be concerned with the fact that he's got to guard these guys that he's not going to be able to keep up with. And it does what Boston did. Boston somehow circumvented the situation, got rid of Marcus Smart, had everybody in the world questioning what the hell they were doing. Then they bring in Drew Holiday and to basically just replace Marcus Smart and be right back where they were. So it's crazy. You know what I mean?
That would be hilarious just in that aspect. Like,
Right, right.
oh, that
Yeah,
then you just want that matchup in the playoffs,
yeah,
right? just
yeah,
just
yeah.
for the storylines. I thought it was interesting. My concern if I was a Bucks fan would have been Um, I think they kind of still use Middleton to give Giannis a break defensively. Let Giannis kind of be a roam defender or a help defender as opposed
Mhm.
to and not saying Giannis isn't capable because I think he's more than capable, but do you want to risk all right, here's the thing. If you're putting Marcus Smart on whomever, because he could guard some threes, some fours, some twos, some what, you know what I mean? But if you're using him in the role that you were using Middleton, how does it change anything for Dame?
I
You know
think
what I
it
mean?
I see what you're saying. I think it for the team in general, I think it just goes back to because the team is used to this this team
That's
is
true.
somewhat similar to the Knicks, whereas they got the same bunch of guys for the most part. They used to playing without Middleton because Middleton's been hurt so much. So I don't think it's like just, if he wasn't there, does the team still know how to coexist and do what they're doing? I think they do. They got a lot of the same guys. Marcus Smart just comes in and brings in a nice defensive presence and gives them a breath of fresh air. It
And
also
I
helps.
forgot Bobby Portis is there too.
Bobby Portis is still there. Brooke Lopez is still there. So it also, what also Marcus Smart does? He locks down that perimeter for what he does and helps out in the paint. So now, you know, Giannis can now start roaming around and doing some more things on defense that you haven't seen him doing because he's been trying to help out. Where he can now just kind of pick his spots and really be, start to wreak havoc on the defensive end. Some of those other guys can take some liberties. So I really don't think like even when you look at Chris Middleton's numbers, he's averaging 11.8 points per game, 46% shooting from the field, and 32% from three. The 32%, the 46% from the field is not too bad, but 11.8 points per game for Chris Middleton. He averaged 17 points for his career. So he's down almost 5 points. Like, yeah, that's a difference in him, and I
Okay.
just think that they could find a way, you know, to coexist with a Marcus Smart out there.
All right. All right. Final word on the Knicks on anything you want to talk anything you want to leave a final word on the Knicks and then what you got next. I mean, you on tonight, right?
I am. Um, so my final word on the Knicks is basically I just think that we're gonna play Milwaukee really tough. I think we're gonna try to keep that game close. And I feel like we're gonna win because I think a big piece for the Knicks is that when we first played Milwaukee, Josh Hart wasn't playing the way he's playing now at this current moment. I think DiVincenzo was still getting his feet wet, and I expect him to play good against his former team. Um, I think the key, though, is Julius Randle. When we first played them, Randall was still nursing, the ankle, and he still wasn't quite right. Even though he had 12 rebounds in the game, around 10 points. I don't know what he had, something around there. He didn't shoot well. He was like 5 of 18. So if he shoots well and continues to do the other stuff he was doing and moves the ball the way these Knick team has been doing, they had 30 assists in the last game. If they play that style of basketball and get that effort from Julius, we get that same type of effort we've been getting from Josh Hart. DiVincenzo is, kind of doing what he's been doing lately. I think we'll be fine because I think Brunson is going to be there doing what he has to do. And so everything else is gravy. I'm not anticipating that RJ is going to have a great game because he's been struggling lately. I don't know if he'll be able to find it in time for Tuesday's game, but if he does, then I know we're going to win. So it's kind of like the Knicks have so many different options on this team. And people talk about how we didn't make a lot of moves, but there is some stuff on this team that really can gel and work together and we can benefit from. So I just hope that they go in with that mindset that this is a very important game to them. And they need to kind of make up for how they played in those first couple games versus Milwaukee. Now, to your point, yes, we are coming on tonight, 9 o'clock. Uh, SKF Weekly with your men's Ron and John. We're gonna be possibly doing it from StreamYard tonight. We normally do it from something else, but Jose has to take care of some personal stuff, so it'll just be us rocking. So look for us at 9, man. SKF Weekly.
No doubt, no doubt. I must tell you, send me the link if I could get out of Queens Court early. You know what I mean? I'll swing by there for sure. Um, appreciate you guys in the chat for sorry for the tardiness. Thank you guys for sticking in, watching the show, replay gang. What else? I heard I was doing some research in the analytics, and it said 30% of the watchers are not subscribed.
Mm.
So I don't know
Mm.
what that number is, but just hit the subscribe button. You
You
still
know what I mean?
catch me when you catch me, but hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. Um, I'm trying to be more consistent, but you guys are gonna help.
Yeah,
Shout
man.
out to the chat, Ron. I appreciate you, brother. Like I said, shoot me the link. You know what I mean? I'll try to make it a triple header for me.
All right. All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you, man. Shout out to the chat. I ain't played the intro, so I'm gonna make it an outro, and we gonna get out of here. Peace.